Hello everyone and welcome! As you've probably noticed, we are not in niche right now. In fact, we are in a totally different game called WolfQuest. Now, some of you may have heard of WolfQuest and others of you probably haven't, so in case you don't know, WolfQuest is a game that was produced by people in association with the Minnesota Zoo and International Wolf Center in Minnesota. So it's a very cool game, and I've been playing it for a long time. I've actually been playing it since the original demo came out back in 2007, so that's almost 10 years. But last year, WolfQuest actually came out with a brand new version, WolfQuest 2.7, which is greatly updated. It has better gameplay, better graphics, has had quite a few updates since then, and it has absolute ton of cool features. And I've been wanting to do a series for a long time, but I've actually been waiting for the most recent update to come out, which it just did. And I'm actually on the beta team for WolfQuest, so expect to see a special episode about that soon. But for now, let's dive into the gameplay and find out just what is going on here. So first of all, this pop-up says, Quest for a Mate. You are a 2-year-old gray wolf born in the northern range of Yellowstone National Park. You learned the ways of the wolf in your birth pack. Now it's time for you to find a home and build your own family. But first, you must learn to survive. Find and hunt elk. Once you've mastered that, you can begin your quest to find a mate. Visit the stranger wolf territories. Most wolves will defend their territory, but some are dispersal wolves like you, leaving their home territory in search of a mate. Remember, you won't meet such a wolf until you're a skilled hunter of elk. So let's go ahead and hit begin quest, and we can meet our wolf Katari. Oh, after we choose this though, it says how hard of a life. When food is readily available, the life of a wild wolf is relatively easy. When food is scarce, even the toughest wolves have a hard time. How hard do you want your life to be? You can change it at any time in the game settings. Mission achievements are based on the lowest difficulty level for the game, as indicated by white outline. So we haven't picked the difficulty yet here, and just to start off, we're going to go with pretty easy. However, if the series takes off like I hope it will, if it goes well, we'll probably move on to future games with challenging, arduous, and even bring it on. But for now, we're just going to click pretty easy, and let's go ahead and meet our wolf Katari. And you can see here we have the beautiful slopes of Amethyst Mountain. It's such a pretty place. I really like it. You can actually see an elk already in the distance. But first of all, this is Katari. Now, as the pop-up in the beginning told us, she's a 2-year-old gray wolf who is starting her life and is ready to find a mate and have puppies. And I'm going to kind of circle around here a little bit so you can get a view of what she looks like. And you may notice she actually has a radio collar. And so apparently at some point in her life here, she was captured by researchers and collared. And this is something they do with the wolves in Yellowstone, is several of the wolves are collared so that they can track them and monitor them and see what they've been doing. So Katari in here is one of these collared wolves. And you may notice something happens every now and then to do with that, but we haven't seen it just yet, so let's get going. So you've probably noticed there is a cow elk up ahead. And we're going to go ahead and hunt that elk and just see what happens here. So let's go on ahead, and you can see the elk takes off. Oop, here's a bunny. Grab the bunny real fast. And the reason we do all this hunting is because we want to earn experience. And so as you can see, Katari's pretty fast. And actually, let's real fast look at her stats here. So if we go to pack stats, we can see she's actually very balanced. She has 50% strength, 50% speed, and 50% stamina. That is perfectly balanced, and you can adjust these from the wolf customization, but you can't adjust them in the wolf customization area, but you can only have a maximum of 150 points spread between the 3 different levels. You can see time in game 2 minutes and 57 seconds. That's because I just started out with her here. She's never died. She's never survived a stranger. She's never encountered dispersal. Never hunted elk. She's only just starting to do that now. Never killed any elk or moose of any kind. Never killed coyote. She's killed one hare, which we just saw her do. She's never fed on a carcass, chased off a grizzly, chased off a cougar, or thwarted pup predators. So, and she only has 10 experience, which she got from killing that hare back there. So let's go ahead and keep hunting this elk. And so basically the goal in WolfQuest, right now there's only 2 episodes. The first one takes place here in Amethyst Mountain, and the goal is to find a mate. And that's basically what a goal is for a wolf, to find a mate and eventually have puppies and continue their genetic line. And you'll probably notice here, I'm going to switch back to the elk hunt just for a sec, probably notice here that she has the 2 bars up at the top, the green bar and the red bar. The red bar decreased a little bit when she bit the elk, and that's her health bar. The green bar is her stamina. If it gets too low, she won't be able to run and will have to rest, so that's why we slowed to a walk back there. That's about the basics of this. And see, the elk actually turned around. This elk had very low health, as seen by the cow elk bar up in the top of the screen. And as we bite her, that health decreases. She is kicking us and doing some damage. Most elk actually have a lot more health than this, and we just got 100 experience. But most elk actually have a lot more health than that, but this is just the starter elk that appears. So we'll go ahead and eat. And I hear hunting music, which probably means there's a coyote. So to find out where something that we can hunt is, we can actually switch to scent view. Scent view represents what a wolf smells, and so you'll see this elk carcass here has a purple plume coming from it, and there's a fox here that is leaving a green trail. We can use this to track different scents that we see, these little dots, these different colored dots. And as you can see, a male fox has appeared to try and steal our carcass. So I don't know if we can actually catch the fox. They are very hard to catch. They are extremely fast. So we're not going to go ahead on and harass this guy too much, but he is there. There are foxes. There's all kinds of animals, and you can actually see that ravens have landed on this carcass when we left, and if we run up, they'll fly away because they're afraid of us. And we can chase them off. And that actually is reflective of real life. Wolves and ravens actually have pretty much a symbiotic relationship, which means they work together a lot. So the ravens will feed off the carcasses from wolf kills, and you can actually see, so you just saw some ravens fly down. Wolves can look for the ravens to know where to find a carcass, and so they do have a symbiotic relationship. So there's another carcass up here, and right now our goal is to find a mate. So we have to travel to the different stranger wolf territories, which you can see on the compass, which is below the HUD. So you can see we have an elk territory, which we're facing towards currently. You can see the wind direction, which is these lines, and the wind direction affects sense. Another elk territory, another wind direction indicator, and a wolf territory up here. There's also a wolf territory this way, and there's one up past the elk hunting ground. So, and you can also see them if we check our map. The purple is the wolf territories, the wolf pack territories, and the orange circles are the elk hunting grounds. So our goal is to earn enough experience to be able to find a mate, because remember, we're not looking for a pack wolf, we are looking for a dispersal. And so in order to find a dispersal, whoa, there's a bear, we have to earn experience. And a good way to earn experience is by chasing up the bears. So you want to be very careful though, because these bears pack a punch, and so the best tactic is to run up behind him and bite him in the rump. And you can see he just hit her very, very hard. And this is on the easiest level. So the best way to get these bears is to bite them from behind, because they can't hit you that way. We're trying to get this guy to run, and there he goes. So we've chased him away. We earned, I think, 200 experience for that. So we're well on our way, to being able to find a mate. So, oh, there's a fox. And I actually just hit the fox. The fox got stuck on an elk carcass. So let's go ahead and eat and restore our health. Eating is the mate. And eating is the only way to restore your health in this. And you can die, and if you die, you have to reload from a save, or you'll have to start over. So we don't want to die. We try to avoid dying if possible. So let's go ahead and check out a wolf territory. And you can hear, whoa, I hear that. I hear hunting music. So that usually means we want to switch to scent view, and I think, listen, do you hear that? I think I hear a moose. I think I hear moose. I'm going to switch out of this. Sounds like it's coming from this way. Oh, look up there! Look at that! Look at this! There's 2 bull moose and they are locked in combat. Moose are actually the most recent addition to the game, which is why I waited on starting the series. These guys are very dangerous and we don't want to mess with them right now, but perhaps once we have a mate, we will be able to pick a fight with these guys. But man, look at them go! Look at these guys go. Now, normally, especially a lone wolf would not attack a moose like this. A pack might, and we don't want to mess with these guys because they hurt a lot, but a pack might. But there are a lot less dangerous sources of food, such as the elk. And in fact, most lone wolves probably wouldn't even hunt elk because elk are actually very dangerous to wolves. You wouldn't think that because they're prey animals, but they have hooves that are very sharp and very powerful, and a kick to a wolf can do a lot of damage, and the bulls have antlers which can also do a lot of damage. So most lone wolves probably wouldn't pick a fight with an elk unless it was very weak or very sick. But this is WolfQuest, and although it does attempt to reflect reality in many ways, it's not always 100% realistic. So, but we're coming up, I in fact just entered it. There's a wolf territory, so you can see the icon on the compass has actually changed. And let's go ahead and look. So check out the wind direction. So the wind is blowing this way, and usually I try to get the wind blowing to one side and then cut through territory because that will blow any scents toward me. And so, and you can hear elk bugling in the background. And I do want to say one more thing, is this game has achievements in it, and I have already unlocked some of them through my own playing, but we may unlock some more as we go. So let's go ahead and cut through here, and I'm not seeing any scents just yet. So we're going to continue, and the wind direction actually changed, I think. So we're gonna, are we at the bottom of the territory? We're kind of just gonna circle the territory until we potentially find some scents. Is that a scent trail? No. Sometimes it's a little bit hard. Usually it's okay with the black and white, but the wolf trails are yellow. And so that makes them sometimes a little bit difficult to distinguish when you're running, whether you have actually seen a wolf or whether you've just seen a change in the lighting. So we're gonna go ahead and circle around. We're staying in the territory here. And we're gonna keep trying to find those scents. We'll go ahead and see if we can find some, and they should be around here somewhere. So right now we're in another wolf pack's territory. That's also, whoa, do you hear that? Do you hear that? Let's get out of scent view. I hear something. Where is it coming from? Where's it coming from? If you hear, you can hear. If you listen, you can hear. Where is it? I don't know if we're gonna see it or not. You can actually hear an airplane, and that is a special feature that the radio collar gives. You can actually hear and see. There it goes. There it went. See the plane? You can actually see the researchers flying by to check on the collared wolves, and you can see right here we have a coyote because there's a green scent trail, and I believe, does it go this way? You can, nope, it starts here. So you can see how long ago it was made, you can see what the gender of the animal is, and you can see what the species of the animal is. And so we have a female coyote heading this way. Now, we do tend to try and pick fights with coyotes because once we get in the second mission, they are bad news for puppies. Coyotes are actually a threat to puppies. Here, we don't have to kill them, although they will try to steal from your carcasses that you kill, but they do give experience points, so we do tend to try and attack them even here on Amethyst Mountain. So, but in the second mission, it becomes especially important to attack and kill coyotes because they will come after you puppies. So we're gonna head back into the wolf territory, which is right here, and keep searching for those scent trails. So you can hear that we just entered the territory. There's a fox up ahead, and we actually left the territory again. Oh no, here, this is a territory marker. This means that a wolf is nearby. So we're gonna switch out of scent view now that we know which direction the scent is heading. We just follow all these markers, and we can switch out, and you'll see there is a wolf here, a druid male. Now, the druid pack was a very strong pack in Yellowstone at the time this game was created. However, it has since disbanded. and I believe its last member was actually killed off recently, but I'm not sure. That's something I'd have to go look up. But the Druid pack was a very huge, very well-known pack in Yellowstone Park back when the game was made. So you'll see we've entered a social arena. This guy says, make my day. And we have different options. We have, I've got to go, I'm boss, back off. It's your move now, or I give in. And Katari tends to be a pretty feisty little thing. She's a little bit sassy, and I think even though this guy is bigger than her, she would probably take him on, even though she is on his territory, so he does have every right to be confronting her here. She would probably attack him. And he'll come back and attack her. And actually, most of the time, wolves will avoid fighting. That's a common misconception, is that wolves like to hunt and kill and to fight each other, and that's actually really not the case, because in the wild, as you can even see here, Katari's health is dropping rapidly, and that's the case in the wild too. And I think we're actually gonna have to back off here, so we're gonna leave. He beat us that time, but in the wild, any fight, any hunt leaves animals at risk of being injured. I'm just gonna go look for an elk carcass here to refuel her health. But any fight in the wild leaves an animal at risk of being injured. So if two wolves meet each other, they're more likely to try and intimidate each other than they are to try and fight. Because if they fight, there's a huge risk that one or both of them will end up being fatally injured. And that's not good for anybody. And so a lot of the time, oh dear, oh my gosh, that is a cougar. We're gonna go ahead and chase the cougar. This is something a wolf would also not do, because this is exactly what I was talking about. It is very dangerous. You don't normally want to run up to the predators and other predators and try and attack them, but we are going to, because cougars are very good experience points. And we're gonna see if we can catch this guy. I don't know if we're fast enough. But yeah, so normally what wolves will do is they'll try and growl and seem intimidating and put on a big threat display as opposed to outright fighting, to try and intimidate any attackers and see if one will back down without actually having to have a fight. And that preserves both of the wolves involved, because they won't come out with any injuries if they can show dominance, if one can dominate the other without having to actually fight. I don't think we're gonna catch this guy. We're gonna back down. Perhaps I may actually go and adjust Katari's stats before the next episode and give her a little bit more speed and a little more stamina and a little bit less strength, because she does strike me as more of a fast wolf than a strong wolf. So I may go do that in between episodes. I think I will. So she'll probably have slightly different stats, and I'll show them to you the next time we play. But yeah, so a lot of the time, and also that's the same reason that wolves will probably avoid hunting larger prey unless they are in a pack. So a lone wolf like Katari would definitely not try and go after those moose we saw earlier. She probably wouldn't even in real life go after an elk, unless it was very weak. But this is a game, so experience points change things here. So we're gonna go ahead and eat from one of these carcasses up here, and then we'll probably go and try and hunt an elk in an actual hunting ground, which I will demonstrate what those do too. We're kind of just gonna familiarize ourselves with the game here, and before we actually get into it, and we're trying to, let's see how many experience points we have right now. We have 335 experience, and I believe you need 750 to be able to find a mate. So, and that's the whole point of the next episode, is to be able to raise your wolf's puppies and make sure they survive to carry on. Basically that's the goal of survival, is to carry on, for animals, is to carry on their genes to the next generation. My goodness, there's a fox and a coyote here. But obviously, you know, if you die, if your puppy dies, that ends it there. Now in the game we have the option to respawn, but I kind of don't want to make it that easy, because it's kind of fun to add more of a challenge, and the game can start to get a little old, because right now that's probably the major downside to WolfQuest, is you can play through the game fairly quickly and it doesn't have a lot of replay value unless you add it yourself. So I think one thing we're going to say with Katari is that if she dies, we cannot revive her just straight off. I'd like to set some sort of goal we have to accomplish before we're able to revive her. So my thought was maybe we could run it by experience. Perhaps for every 1,000 experience she gathers, she can be revived one time if she dies. And we may, you know, we may not start this with Katari if we continue on playing and go. Oh, here's the elk herd, and oh, I forgot. It's so near Christmas. That actually, if you look at the bull elk when he puts his head up, you can see he has the antlers right there. We have him selected at the moment, but you can see he has his Rudolph nose. I forgot about that, but we may not start that with Katari, but if we continue to play on into further generations, perhaps, then we may try and implement a system like that. And if the series only goes through one season, then we maybe won't. But for now, we will say we can revive her if she dies, as in we can load a save. So we're looking at the different elk, and you can see their health. And this one actually, like if you look at the one over here, if we can target it, has a little bit more health than the one over here. And that's what wolves do, is they will target the weak and the sick, and they'll actually cull off the sickly from the herds, which, if there's a disease and the wolves kill the sick elk, that prevents the disease from being spread as easily, and it helps to keep the elk populations healthy. So wolves play a vital part in the ecosystem. And actually, at one point in Yellowstone, wolves were killed off because people thought they would mess up the... People wanted to see the prey animals, the cute kind of animals. People back then wanted to see like deer and elk, and they saw wolves as vicious predators, and so they were actually hunted down and completely killed off in Yellowstone. And we don't want to chase her through the herd because they will kick us. But when the wolves were gone, it created a huge impact on the ecosystem. The prey animals exploded in population and started to overgraze, and it almost destroyed the park. But when wolves were reintroduced to the park, it actually brought the ecosystem back into balance because they began culling off the excess prey animals and bringing the population back under control. So wolves are an incredibly vital part to the ecosystem. And by taking down weak and sick elk like this one here, who is a little bit weaker than the rest of the herd, we are actually representing that here in WolfQuest. Now, we probably won't always stick to killing off just the weakest elk. If we want to kill a bull, we'll probably have to kill a lot of other elk around in the vicinity to be able to have enough food, because the bull elk do a lot of damage, and so you have to constantly eat to replenish your health. But for now, especially when Katari is alone, it's usually smarter, if you're just going to hunt one elk, to hunt down the weak ones. And wolves don't kill for fun. They kill because they need food. And, you know, here, I mean, she doesn't need food right away, but she will. And that's the thing with this game, is it doesn't perfectly represent the idea that wolves will kill when they need food and really won't kill outside of that. But it still does. I mean, we will use this carcass for food. So let's go on ahead and explore another wolf territory up the mountain from here. And we do have some elk down there, but we have a couple carcasses already, so I think that'll be okay for now. We're gonna go see if we can find another stranger wolf up at the top of the mountain, because you can see there's another pack ahead of us. But yeah, and that's the thing too, is a lot of people think that wolves are vicious and that they attack humans, and you can hear the plane again. Researchers are back. But that's actually not true. As far as I'm aware, there has never been a documented case of a healthy wolf or pack of wolves attacking a human in North America. Usually, wolves are more scared of humans than you are scared of them, and they will actually avoid humans. Whoa, it's a thunderstorm. Oh, that's something I should explain about Katari. I did recreate her for this series, so she wouldn't go into it with a lot of experience behind her or anything, but Katari is actually my main beta testing wolf, and so I've played with her quite a bit, and interestingly enough, she has shown a very odd penchant for almost getting struck by lightning. It's extremely odd, but if there's thunderstorms, lightning tends to strike very, very close to her for some weird reason. I have actually no idea why that happens. I don't think it's programmed into the game like that. I think lightning can strike anywhere within a certain vicinity. And you'll see it happens again. But yeah, the lightning always seems to strike quite near Katari for some reason. That's just a little quirky thing of hers. But anyway, in most cases, a wolf will actually not... Oh my gosh. Wolves will actually not attack humans. However, they will defend themselves if they feel threatened. And in the case of small children, it's more likely because they might see them as something small, something they could hunt and catch as prey. It's just... Normally, wolves will avoid humans at all costs. So, like, if you're hiking, you're probably... If you run across a wolf, it's probably going to try and get away from you. But, you should never approach them because they are wild animals, and even though they will try and remove themselves from your general area, if they can in most cases, if you corner them, there's a probability that they will most likely defend themselves and you could be very badly hurt. So just like any wild animal, do not approach them. And here we go. Here is a specimen male. So the specimen ridge pack is the pack that lives up here on the mountain, and you can see he's a pretty wolf, but we are going to challenge him. Like I said, Katara is pretty sassy, and even though she's technically on his territory, she probably would sass him off and try and dominate him. And that's, I don't know if that's a trait that Katari would start to lose as she's older and a little bit wiser and has realized she's been hurt in some of these fights, but for the time, she is a young, sassy, kind of snappy wolf who would stand her ground when challenged, even by a pack wolf whose territory she trespassed on. And she actually did manage to dominate this wolf. And I think she would just tell him to get away and chase him off here. And he'll leave, and she actually will win experience for that encounter. But like I said, and some of this is we're adding on to it a little bit by, Katari's personality. It just depends on how you play the game, how you play as the wolf. But for Katari, I think she tends to be pretty bossy, pretty dominant. She will back down if she knows she's in danger, but aside from that, I really don't think she would. And, Katari is actually one of my characters, who I have had in development for quite some time. I actually have a story that I started writing about her on the WolfQuest forum, and I include a link to that if you really do want to go read it. But, I discontinued it for the time being because I didn't really like how it was turning out, and I'm hoping to rewrite it at some point. So you can read it if you want, but just know that I'm probably not going to continue it the way it is, and instead I will probably go through and rewrite it. But so a lot of her personality and such not, I'm going off of that for. And her backstory, I don't know if... I wrote up a backstory for her in that was fairly realistic. The WolfQuest boards have a standard of realism, and it did comply with that standard, so it's decently realistic. Not 100% because obviously we read into it a little bit, but it was fairly realistic. And I can explain, if you guys want to hear her backstory, I can explain a little more of that. If you don't, that's fine, and we can just continue playing, just kind of knowing a little bit of her personality and such not. But yeah, so this is WolfQuest, and I'm super excited to launch into this new series, especially with the Moose update, and be looking for a special episode highlighting some of my beta experiences, and some special footage from that, and kind of a blooper reel from this most recent update, which introduces the Moose. So, but anyway, I was gonna see if we can find a bear up here, because sometimes bears tend to spawn. But it doesn't look like there's a bear. But yeah, that's about it for now. I think we'll leave off here, and we'll have to come back soon and continue to follow Katari in her search for a mate. So we'll have to see if she manages to find one or not, what he looks like. Oh, we'll have to see how it all goes. We'll have to see how Katari's story unfolds. I am really looking forward to this. I love WolfQuest. I have played it for ages, and it's definitely one of my favorite games, and I'm really looking forward to sharing it to you. But that's all for now, and I will see you next time. But until then, this is Jay, over and out.